This video will show you how to accept input, store it in a string variable, and add some comments to your C# program. We're going to start with a new project. We're going to name that project first input. I'm going to make sure it's saved where I want it to be saved, and it's a Windows form. And just the usual, it's going to create a form which I might want to resize depending on what I like. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of labels. I'm going to add a label which I'm going to copy and paste, and then I'm also going to add a text box which I'm also going to copy and paste. Okay, so, and maybe I can move them a little bit if I wanted to. So these are going to be for my first name and last name. So let's just go in there and label the name as label first, named label as label first. And now this one is going to be label second. The name for this is going to be text first, and for the next one is going to be text second. Now the actual text of these labels is going to be first and second, and I'm also going to add, I'm going to copy this label, add it one more time, and then just change the text to this to something else, and this is going to be my label hello. Okay. And the label hello, I just added some dots for its text, so that's what appears here. Okay, so now last thing I'm going to add is a button. I'm going to drag and drop a button in there, and actually why don't I copy that button and paste it. So I'm going to have two buttons, and this one is going to be, first one is button hi, and the text of that button is going to be hi, and the next one is going to be close, and I'm going to name that button close. Okay, so I've named my buttons, my labels, my text boxes. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event so that when the user hits the close button, we close the program. So how we're going to do that, we're going to double click the close button, and then in here we're going to type this close, and it's actually capital close, right, as it's suggesting, parentheses and semicolon. And now if we check, the program should close when you hit the close button. Hit the close button and it closes. Okay, so this is how you exit the program. Now the next thing I'm going to do is on my event hi, so I'm going to double click the hi button. What I'm going to do is I am going to add a string. And before I add a string or a variable, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a comment. So this here, 2 forward slashes is a comment. What is a comment? Well, it's just explanation for you and me, whoever's going to be reading the code. Comment is not considered part of your code. So you can explain your code using comments so that it makes sense to yourself and others. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that I'm going to create a string variable. Okay, so I'm going to go in there, I'm going to say string output, Okay, output is the name of the variable. Okay, so this is my variable, and this is the kind of that this variable is. What kind is string? String means text. Okay, and what is text? Anything in quotes. Anything in quotes. So any kind of information that you want to pack in between these quotes, that's a string. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a word which is going to store some kind of a text information. That's what we're telling it to do here. Okay, what kind of a text information we're going to store or put in here? What we're gonna do is we're gonna get the text from our text boxes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say output is equal to my name for my inbox or text box was text first. So I'm gonna go text first dot text. So we're gonna pull the text from that thing. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say plus, and we're gonna put a little space like this, and we're gonna do plus text second dot text, and just like that. So what this is going to do is, this is known as string concatenation. So we're getting one piece of text and then adding it to another piece of text, and then adding that to another piece of text. The result of string addition is called concatenation, and it just turns out into one big string. All right, so in other words, if I have some text here which is hello, and then I have another text here which is world, then the resulting string that is going to be stored in my variable output is going to be hello world, one big string. Okay, now what I wanted to do is, instead of hello world, I wanted to pull the information that is going to be typed by the user and store that information, first and last name separated by space. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I also want to change the value of my label. So this label right here, the one with all the dots, right, that was label hello. So what I'm going to do in there is I'm going to say, okay, well, next thing is label hello, which is my label here, dot text. The text of that thing is going to be equal to my output. So we're going to replace the text of that with the first and last name. So I go in there, I click my program, and I type Alex, my last name, hi, and then it writes your name. Okay, so this is an example of what a variable is, what a string is. String just means text, and how we can concatenate text, and how we can get information from the user, store it in our program using variables, and then show some kind of a result that we just did to the user. Okay, so that is the output.